With both excitement and trepidation, our team embarked on a study tour of India, confident in the knowledge that there would be little to learn from a leadership perspective in a developing country, much less the rural sector of a developing country. As you're about to hear, however, preconceptions are often misconceptions. In a country of unparalleled uniqueness and contrast, India provided this team of 6 aspiring leaders with more lessons on personal development, humanity and humility in 2 weeks than they would have encountered in 20 years otherwise. The following observations are just a tiny window into the encounters and experiences that this amazing country provided.
Hello, my name's Prue Adlam and I'm in India at the moment. Just giving you my preconceived thoughts about Indian leadership. I believed it was a bit of a dictator-style leadership and very male-dominated, and that was what I thought I would be seeing when I came to India. I also thought it was more of the developing leadership because we hear about India being a developing country, and I expected to see a lot of, part of that male-dominated, a lot of it still developing in the leadership styles. So I expected more conformism and not to be so proactive leadership.
My name is Lisa Dwyer. I'm from southwest Victoria. My preconceived ideas of leadership in India would be, given the sheer scale of the population and given that it is still very much a developing country, that the leadership would also be at the developmental stage. It would be opportunistic and also rule-bound. So in other words, at the lower end of the leadership maturity framework.
Hi, my name's Gavin Bignell. My preconceived ideas about leadership in India was that it would be very authoritarian, that essentially someone would sit at the top of the pyramid and dictate to those below them exactly what they should do and when. I also thought it would be very much a dog-eat-dog world where if you made it to the top you wouldn't have any consideration for those below you. And finally, certainly that the caste system would dictate a lot where you could potentially get within that leadership pyramid.
Okay, I'm Kevin Mulvale. My preconceived concept of leadership here in India was that in such a massive society with a huge population explosion was that leadership had to be quite dictatorial, with direct lines going up and down through the leadership, and that there wouldn't be a lot of feedback from the lower levels up to the leaders. They would just act as dictators. Leadership would be based around more the 3 and 4 of areas rather than moving into post-conventional leadership.
Hi, I'm Kate Brooks, course 19, and my preconceived ideas of Indian leadership are possibly a little bit skewed by the fact that I was here 4 years ago, but I still see them as before I came this time and really focused on leadership. It was diverse, opportunistic, very varied across the board, a little bit of dog-eat-dog. So when you look at it in the leadership maturity framework, I probably still saw it as more of the conformist, diplomat, expert end of the scale, with a little bit of smattering of the post-modernist, idealistic, pluralist aspect to it. So it'll be interesting to see where we end up.
I decided to make an assessment on the village chief in one of the first villages that we went to, and I decided that he was a man who valued relationships. He spoke very highly of the women in his village and made sure that he respected each and every member of his village, and then when we were there, He spoke to each of us to discover what we thought was going on in the village and anything that they could learn from. And based on this, I decided he was a conscientious achiever, which is level 4 on the maturity framework.
A young man called Yugan, who was an IT professional working for a very high-profile IT firm and essentially had everything. He had a great career, lots of money, and gave it all away to go and work for a foundation that helped poor people in rural communities. And that in itself, I think, shows a lot of leadership. But in addition to that, the way he interacts with the communities, he didn't come into those communities and dictate how things should be done. He engaged and looks for solutions within those communities, which I think takes a certain level of post-conventional leadership.
I focused on Kiran Bedi as an example of leadership style because of her high profile, both in India and internationally. It was interesting that she is very committed to identifying a journey and going on that path, and maintaining that focus. But the important part of it was her focus on relationships to achieve outcomes. In that context, she really does fit an individualist, pluralist type of leader in that post-conventional mode.
Vigyan Gadodia attended India's most elite private schools and became an investment banker. And interestingly, I think that Vigyan may have been a tempered radical for a long period of time because now he is a dairy farmer. He possesses a really clear vision about what the future holds, and that vision reaches beyond his own interests to that of his fellow Indians. And his mission now is to assist others to progress their lives by providing them with cattle, education and support to become dairy farmers in their own right, and that they will therefore provide the milk to Vigyan's fledgling enterprise. And so I think that he is a tremendous example of a level 5 on the leadership maturity framework.
My observation is that one of the biggest impacts on the culture here is Hinduism, their religion. 8% of the country follows a religion, and the religion itself seems to accommodate a lot of aspects of leadership, especially post-conventional leadership around the concepts of feedback and values. I'm wondering if some of the leaders actually can embrace a lot more of the Hindu religion, because when they get to that level, they do have a lot more freedoms than the average person on the street who's still struggling for day-to-day survival.
In exploring our preconceptions and then observations of leadership in India, it becomes apparent that as a group we underestimated the complexity, diversity and maturity of leadership styles in the country. Generally speaking, prior to interacting with and experiencing examples of Indian leadership, we believed we would find a relatively conventional and conformist modes of leadership because of the state of development in India. However, across the breadth of leaders we observed, we experienced examples of quite sophisticated and post-conventional styles of leadership. This presents us with several learnings apart from the leadership examples, the primary of which is the dangers of preconceptions, and that as in our own Australian experience, post-conventional leadership can be demonstrated in many unexpected places.